This is a match I just played on the ladder. Played against a Protoss. I knew that going in. It wasn't against random. It was definitely against Protoss. Well, it's the normal plan to make Hydralisks, support them with Zerglings and Banelings, get the attack upgrades, try to win the game. If that doesn't work, then the next transition after that is to make a hive, make a spire, and go for broodlords for a real endgame. So my opponent didn't say good luck at the start, they just said have fun, which is a little bit odd, but nothing too unusual. I do end up rewriting my Overlord to check if I'm getting cannon rushed. I should really probably do that more often than I do, especially on this map. It takes your Overlord such a long time to get across it that you're not really getting super a lot of information by getting it to the third base any earlier. So you might as well stay safer against a cannon rush by sending it down to the natural and see that there's not a probe over there building some pylons already. Which is good, there's not. So I'm not sure what my opponent's doing for a while in this game. I actually don't do the greatest job of scouting, it turns out, a little bit later. But this is just my standard opener with his hatchery first, and then a gas and then a pool, so that I get Zergling speed to line up and 2 queens to line up with when all these buildings finish. So I had my Overlord hang out my natural for a little bit, see if I saw a probe. I didn't. I do end up sending my first couple Zerglings to a couple places to check for potential proxy pylons, because I'm a little bit concerned about that. I actually send even a worker around my main base, because this is that base that has that really huge footprint in the main base on this map. So I just want to make sure I'm not having any sort of cheese come in to throw me off my game. I want to just play a macro game, make a big army, and use that. Don't want to get involved in all these little back and forths if we can avoid them. I just want to make a big ball army and use that to win. So there's my pool finishing. Lets me start up queens right away. Zergling speed about half second later. I guess I was a little bit late getting the guys on gas there. Should be able to literally do those all exactly when the pool finishes with this build. So I just, so you can see here, I'm clicking some of my Zerglings around just to see that I want to check out a couple locations that pylon might have been proxied. Although I think I might have my hatchery selected, so I might have screwed that up. No, there they go. There's the Zerglings going. Yeah, no, I definitely screwed that up. I'm watching the mini-map here. Couldn't tell that in the game. Okay, so I get to my opponent's base. I see they have a forge. That's their cybernetics core that's finishing up the building that was still a ball right there. So I know, okay, I'm not getting attacked anytime soon. Not building a forge and researching an upgrade. If you're going to be attacking soon, you're going to wait for the upgrade to finish. So that lets me know I can go take a third base fairly soon. See, I even already did it. So it's just, can just plan to go 3 bases, get some more queens to start spreading creep. I really need to work on getting my supply block time down. Keep getting blocked on 36 and on 44. It used to only really be on 44. It's been 36 a lot more recently. So I need to work on getting both those out of here. And just doing a better job in general of keeping my supply block time lower. So I'm making more queens. They're going to be specifically to spread creep. This map is gigantic, so the creep really helps your units get around faster. The Zergling is very fast anyway. Hydralisks get quite a bit of a movement bonus on the creep. And queens basically aren't useful at all off the creep. So here I make my Baneling nest. Go back and start a layer here momentarily because I want to get a Hydralisk then. I want to get the Banelings with the speed upgrade. Because Hydralisks are glass cannons, so you have to put something to tank in front of them. Usually I go with Banelings because that way it clears out whatever melee units my opponent has in the way. And then any Zerglings that haven't morphed can potentially get a surround on their army too. So you see my queens there moving down the ramp to keep spreading creep. I'm intentionally spreading creep in my own main base here because this is again the map that has that giant main base. Starting up my gases so that I can actually have enough to start upgrades in a minute and start making Hydralisks once my layer finishes. Ideally, I would already be having some drones at the third base here, and maybe move my queens over that way too. to try and defend it. I think I do end up rallying my army there initially, because it's kind of my weakest point at the moment, since I just got the base, and bases take a little bit of time to pay for themselves. So I start the attack and the defense upgrades here. The attack upgrade is for the Hydralisk. It's the ranged upgrade. It's not the one for the Zerglings and Banelings. I did not actually really get the greatest scout on what my opponent was doing this game. If you look on the mini-map, you can see I don't actually have a clue about anything in my opponent's main base. I only saw stuff that was at their natural over there earlier. So I'm just trying to make sure I have enough drones at all my bases. It looks like I basically do need maybe a couple more at the third base, but I think they're going there now. I saw I'm going to take a fourth base to really get enough production. Since every hatchery for Zerg makes more drones, you just need more bases to have enough larvae to actually make the units you need. And now I'm trying to start to kick into gear on getting Hydralisks, and once I run out of Vespene gas, also make Zerglings, and then once they're somewhere out on the map, morph them into Banelings. So I really want to attack when +1 attack finishes, or if not, it's okay to wait another round on the Hydralisks, just to be sure that you have enough of them to actually deal the damage, because they are high damage output, but you have to have a critical mass of them by the time you get to the mid and late game. So I did see my opponent has a third base down with my Overlord there. I've seen that earlier. So I decided if I am going to move it on the map, I need to make sure that I'm not going to die to just some counterattack of warping in a couple of Dark Templars, so I put down a Spore Crawler to detect at each base and a couple Spine Crawlers to be able to actually attack them, in addition to having some Queens standing nearby at each base. It's just to make sure you don't die to nonsense while moving out on the map. Should actually already be spreading my Overlords out to get more vision than I am. I think I'll get back to that in a second, but it should really already be happening. I'm doing an okay-ish job with the creep this game, but I could be having the creep out, way out, you know, another 2 screens probably further than it is for my vision. Like, see, it's here. I could probably have it over here if I was really staying on top of that. So I go try to take the watchtower at the north to see what's going on. I should really probably take the one at the south as well. But I do start spreading my Overlords out so they kind of make a ring of vision around the edge of my creep. So there my Hydralisk got attacked at the watchtower. I didn't have anything actually supporting them, so I just have to run away here. But my opponent doesn't want to pursue onto creep and get like a bunch of Banelings ran into their zealots or anything like that. See, I've missed a few Queen Injects here.
Your forces are under attack. That mineral field spot.
That'll just kill your ability to produce units if you're not hitting your Queen Injects all the time. I do end up eventually realizing I need to make another base even here, just as a macro hatchery that I'm not even trying to return resources to, because Zerglings cost a lot of larvae, and I do need them to support the Hydralisks. They cost almost nothing in terms of minerals. They don't cost any of your main resources. What they cost is your larvae, to only spawn a little bit at a time at a hatchery. And then your queens can make more of them spawn, but you still, even with that, need additional hatcheries to support the production of the Zerglings. And oh, that's so painful watching all these missed Queen Injects. I do at least come back and queue them up a couple of times here. But ideally, you should be coming back just every 25 seconds and hitting this all the time. My creep really hasn't moved a whole ton beyond where I said it was earlier. I have all these active tumors, and they need to be going south and west and not being right where they are.
A new queen has emerged.
So I decided I want to maybe keep some of my rest of my Overlords a little further back than the ones that are out spotting. Don't need them getting picked off by the Stalkers. I saw my opponent has Stalkers with Blink. They're really good at sniping Overlords. So you see I've got the Baneling set up now in front of the rest of my army. Got the Hydralisks. I've got detection for Dark Templar, which I think my opponent could have. It turns out my opponent in fact does have. So I get up here, explode all the Banelings on top of the Dark Templar, and then the Hydralisks want to engage on the Stalkers, but the Stalkers with Blink can run away from this. I do try to come back and make sure that I've actually hit injects at all my hatcheries. That's one of the things with Zerg when you move out on the map. You want to make sure that you have hit all your injects first, because that way you will not be missing production just because you're moving your army on the map. I'm a little bit far out there. I think my one Overseer there gets picked off in a second. That forces me to back up. Oh, it's 2 Overseers now. But since my opponent has Dark Templar, if all my Overseers get picked off, I end up having to back up because I don't want them just destroying my army for free, because I can't see the Dark Templar without detection that the Overseers provide. So I see my opponent there is trying to knock down the rocks. It's good for me. I want to take this fight, so I help them out and just finish knocking down the rocks. Get up here, try to see. My opponent has decided, oh wait, if the Zerg army's this close, maybe I should not be here. So see, I do go back and try to hit my injects. Start my hive, because the plan is to move on to the late game if this attack isn't getting anywhere. And so you got to get the hive and the spire. Okay, so see, my Overseers got picked off, so I have to leave the engagement here, because I don't want a bunch of Dark Templar just coming in and destroying all my Hydralisks and Zerglings with me not being able to attack them at all. So I start up a couple more Overseers to rejoin with my army. There we go, I start a spire along with the hive there. That way when the hive is finished, I can make a greater spire to make my corruptors into broodlords if the game gets to that point. But my Overseers have finished, so I'm going back out on the map to see what's going on. I really think that this army is going to be okay based on what I've seen my opponent doing previously. I really should have made a few more workers than I did this game. See, I have right now 72 drones. You really want to have more like 80 drones at this point as Zerg. You kind of want to get 80 to 85 on 4 bases. That will support you being able to remaximize your army every time after a fight. The Protoss here with 86 is a little bit too much for Protoss, because they have kind of more expensive units, so they need to make sure that they have more supply that goes to their army and less to their workers. Doesn't that matter, I end up just overrunning my opponent with all these Hydralisks. I'm trying to make sure that I keep my Overseers where they can't just get sniped by Stalkers easily. I eventually realized I need to split up my army to go after the different bases. So I do go back here and start my Greater Spire, so that if this attack doesn't win, that I will be able to continue the game. So I send this group up here, I split up another group to go to the base over, that would have been my opponent's 3rd base, just so that I'm attacking on multiple fronts at once. Get up here, take out a couple Archons. There's really, I just A-moved and didn't really worry about what my units were doing anymore because I'm on top of the production. So I just need to wait for the opponent's buildings to die at this point, basically. I do go back and try to hit my injects in case the game does go on longer, in case I'm mistaken. But I'm thinking it's over at this point. I'm going, oh, I thought I sent a drone up here and made a hatchery earlier. Apparently not. Well, let's fix that. But I'm not even looking at the fight anymore, because I have won it, so I don't need to. I even still have the Overseers there to pick off the Dark Templars. Opponent agrees with me and leaves the game.